Well, good evening once again. It's Monday night. It's 8 p.m. And as usual, at this time, every Monday night, we have the Monday Review Show. And this is the show where we look at refereeing incidents and especially and particularly incidents regarding referees and the decisions that they've made and some perhaps that they haven't made. We'd like you to join us. If you'd like to join, there's a little thing on the bottom right-hand side of your screen there where you can leave a comment or you can ask a question. And Keith and I would be more than happy to answer the question. And as I mentioned, as we normally have on a Monday night, Keith Hackett, former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, and former head of the PGMOL. That's the Professional Games Match Officials Limited. And those are the guys who look after the referees in the Premier League and in the Championship. Now, so Keith, thanks very much again. The people don't know, but I had a bit of a harem scarum trying to get here on time because I just flew in from London this evening. My wife and I were there visiting our grandson and his wife and our son and his wife and the two grandchildren. So it was a bit of a harem scarum tear across the Irish Sea to get home on time. So, Keith, there was an incident it was the FA Cup, wasn't it, between Harrogate Town and Gainsborough?
Yes.
Regarding player safety.
Yeah. When we look at the FA Cup, it always, for me, it's the best competition in the world. It attracts home fans. You've got clubs who might only get 300-400 spectators.
Yeah.
Suddenly have 7,000, and the whole village travels across England. Of
course, not forgetting, Keith, that the draw was tonight for the third round of the FA Cup. Correct. And that's when the Premier League teams come in. And I think as we speak, the draw is still ongoing. So we might be able to touch on that a little bit later on.
So in this Harrogate, one thing I'd like to mention that I think is very disappointing is that they decided in their wisdom, the FA, to cut out replays. I think this is more accommodating of the bigger teams at Premier League level than grassroots teams. So for me, I think Reading played Harbour Town, a Leicestershire club, and they got a draw. They drew 3-3, but lost in extra time. And I just feel that Harbour Town had been robbed of a replay. But I think you can sense my passion. I really love the FA Cup. Here was an incident. Harrogate at Gainsborough. Harrogate have the longest serving manager in the professional game in England.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Simon
How
Weaver.
long was he there? Was a matter of interest?
A long time. He was there well before his father had eventually bought the club. So there is that relationship. But nonetheless, he's there by his ability and what he achieves. And it's quite remarkable what he achieves. Harrogate is a sort of nice place to visit if anybody fancies coming to England. So in this particular incident, a Harrogate Town player was running at speed towards the touchline to try to win possession of the ball. As he got close to the touchline, he got a nudge by a chasing opponent. It wasn't a foul. It was just contact. There wasn't any sort of animosity. But the player finished on the ground, sliding on his belly, and crashed in to a stretcher and received a fairly serious head injury. I mean, as he was walking off with the trainer with a fairly thick towel held on top of his head and blood pouring down his face. It wasn't a good sight. The point of raising it tonight is just to say to referees, I know a lot of referees listening to our show, when you're doing that ground inspection before kickoff, and you should always do that, just walk around the pitch. And if you see that there's an object, whatever that might be, it might be at Football League level. I've had to ask for cameras to be moved at Premier League level also. because I felt that there was a risk of injury to a player running off the pitch, just make it clear that that if there is anything that you might think it will injure a player, that's be removed. And of course, the other side, when you're at grassroots football, you know, in England, we have usually poles and a tape a metre from the touchline at grassroots level if we haven't got a fence. But there are games that you will get, you know, the semi-final finals of junior competitions when there isn't that facility, and you've got a risk of your assistant referee running down the line and suddenly clashing into a spectator who's crept towards the touchline. These are things that you just need to bear in mind in terms of refereeing.
Yeah. I just wonder, Keith, I didn't see the incident. You obviously did. The amount of players who go down having been brushed. I mean, you know, my 90-year-old grandmother wouldn't fall down if she was touched that hard in the street. And yet these guys go down looking for free kicks. So I'm going to be quite cynical here. Was this player a victim of his own nonsense?
No, I think this was a genuine attempt. But I do take your point, because I think some of our referees are being conned, because what they're doing is they're taking what might be termed a safety approach to the situation, and players know that, and as a consequence, there's an increasing amount of players going to ground without being fouled, and referees blowing for free kicks. I've come to the conclusion, in terms of the tactics that are employed, we now see players going down. We've touched on the subject before, as though they've been shot from a distance. And you know, it's all about stopping the momentum, stopping the flow of the game, all those sort of things. And then what we do is we get a water break, and it all sort of adds to a lack of, if you like, the game flow. I've come to the conclusion that we should adopt the rugby style of treatment, and that is, player goes down, is injured, the play continues, and just let a guy dressed in a bib which says he's the physio or he's the trainer or whatever he is, come on and treat the player whilst the game continues. You know, yes, if it does strike the trainer, the ball, or it does strike the injured area, which it could happen, then just award a drop ball. You know, we've got that in the armament of the laws of the game. So I'm sort of, I think, like you, cynical. And the other thing I want referees to stop doing, seriously stop doing, is at set piece, particularly corner kicks. Why are they going in? We've touched on this subject before. Why are they going in, having a word, and then just letting things go? Listen, stop going in, stop warning, punish. Sanction by a free kick or a penalty kick.
100%.
Cut it out now. Because it's making you, the referees, look foolish. And you're drawing your attention to the problem. You're actually highlighting the problem, because then we're coming away, it's taking place, the shoving and pushing and grappling, all the things that go off, and you don't take any action on it, and they go, what's that about?
I've mentioned this before to you, that that why isn't there a 1 meter distance between players at corner kicks and free kicks? And that would solve the problem. Until the ball is kicked, they must not move within a meter of their opponent. And that was, but honestly, the amount of pulling and dragging and pushing and arms around and all that nonsense, and it's going in, and the referee is just making a complete fool of himself by going in and saying, stop this. And he has no sooner backtracked 2 meters, and they're at it again. So what was the point in the first one? Is there, Pete, are they getting any instructions from on high to do that, to go in and talk?
No,
Because
I think the instruction's clear. I think that we saw the procedure at World Cup and we saw it in Euros. It seems to be a standard process now, and for me, I think it's not working. So if something's not working, it's got to be fixed, and therefore I think the action has to be taken. Another point that I want to raise, if I may, and that was the Chelsea-Aston Villa game. And it highlighted for me a good piece of officiating by Stuart Atwell. The ball was in the penalty area, and the ball was between the goalkeeper and his colleague, the defender.
Now, yes, you and I are going to disagree on this.
Pardon?
You and I are going to disagree on this.
It was an interesting incident because the talking point around it was what constitutes, and we use this word pass back, but it's a pass to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, so and that's an interesting thing, and we need to highlight that. It's not a back pass per se.
No.
Because the goalkeeper could be out on the edge of the penalty area, and there could be a defender on the goal line. So he passes it forward. So it's not a pass. People need to understand it's not a back pass. It's a pass by the defender to the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Not a pass, back pass. A pass by the defender. So it could be actually forward as well.
Yeah. So here was a situation where I think there's a little confusion. Is the goalkeeper going to pick it up, or is the defender going to play it to him? And there appears to be, when you look at very close inspection, a touch of the ball by the defending player, the Chelsea player. Now, did he touch it? And did he, in fact, pass it back? Did the ball actually move towards the goalkeeper? The referee...
We have to get used of not using that word, a back pass. It's a pass to the keeper. Okay.
Pass to the goalkeeper, and it has to be with the foot. Again, just to clarify the law, if it's the knee, the body, the head, the shoulder, whatever, that's perfectly legit. So here, the question is, in controlling the ball or helping to control the ball, right, did the defender pass the ball to the goalkeeper? The referee, right, decided to come in. And let me tell you, one of the worst things that you can have as a referee is to award an indirect free kick, which is the penalty for the sanction for a pass to the goalkeeper, in awarding an indirect free kick in the penalty area, because it's a recipe for mayhem.
Oh yes, oh yeah.
I mean,
especially if it's less than 12 yards.
Exactly, and this of course was. So what the referee has to do is make certain all the defending players, including the goalkeeper, are on the goal line. And of course, the other thing is it's a set piece kick, so the attacking players have to be a metre away. So that's the further confusion. If you've not seen this, try and get hold of the clip, because I think you might learn from it. The question I would ask, and I think, is, was this a deliberate pass to the goalkeeper? Did the defender control the ball? Therefore, was the referee correct in sanctioning an indirect free kick? The one point that I would say in defense of the referee, whatever decision he made, his concentration was focused on that area, because there are too often referees assuming that the goalkeeper is going to get possession and start to run away from the penalty area with their back to goal. That's dangerous. So the learning point for me is, if you're going to sell this decision, sell it firmly with conviction, and then recognize you've got some work to do to satisfy the law. The position of the defending wall, the positioning of those attackers near the wall, and the detection in the first place. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to give you the answer because I've got a view on it. But it's one of those things that I can't actually ever think or ever remember seeing it at Premier League level being penalised or it actually taking place.
Well, now there's a question for you out there. There's a question for you. I'd like to hear your comments on that. Would you, if you've seen the game, would you have given the indirect free kick against the team for the defender passing the ball to the goalkeeper? There's a question. I'm
going to jump in. Yeah, I'm going to jump in again because I know you probably haven't had time to read everything that I wrote.
Yeah.
There was in a Tottenham Fulham game. If you remember, I think we discussed that raking down the back of the Achilles of the Chelsea player less than a week ago, and it wasn't penalised.
Yes.
Now, well done, Darren Bond, the referee in the Tottenham Fulham game, because Tom Kearney of Fulham, who had earlier scored a goal, right, and a good goal to equalise, did exactly that. His boot, flat of the foot, hit the back of the leg of the player, just below the knee of the rear of the leg of the player, and then raked down the Achilles. And great credit to the referee. VAR intervened. I thought that was really good of VAR. I think that was Craig Pawson. And when Darren Bond saw the replay on the monitor, then Kearney was rightly given the red card.
Good. Keith, Brighton, Southampton.
I thought you might raise that one.
My word. How long did it take for VAR to come to a decision?
4 minutes, 37 seconds.
Oh, my goodness.
So you know,
okay, I'll let you explain.
I first of all I want to say something before we explain it to those that might have not seen it. We were promised, or the match officials were promised by the PGMOL, that by the end of November they would have in operation the semi-automated offside system, which we saw in the World Cup.
November gone now. By the end of November, just gone. Okay.
Yeah, we were promised that. It's not being delivered. I know that I suspect, my contacts in China tell me that there is a problem in that they're moving from what is an off-the-shelf system that was used by UEFA and FIFA, which involved Sony cameras, and of course the Adidas ball with a chip in it inside it. And the Premier League used Nike ball, so that might be the problem. But they're also experimenting, one assumes, with Apple cameras. So that's the first thing. That system will improve and reduce the amount of time that it takes to get a picture to the referee and the VAR of, is that player in an offside position? So what happened? The ball was crossed from the left wing. It passed through or close to an attacking player who was in an offside position. Clearly offside, moving towards the goal at that particular point, that the ball passed to the rear of him, not the front, and landed to a colleague who was onside, who scored. So now, I think I've explained that. So it looked a good goal. On the face of it, the person who scored the goal was not offside. It's in the net. And now comes the questionable side of the law that I've criticised before. Because the question is, did that offside player make an active play for the ball and become active? Did he interfere with an opponent? Now, first of all, we didn't see a camera angle from behind the goal. You know, did he block the view? But, you know, we're talking about the right-hand side of the penalty area and the left-hand side of the goal area, in a sense. But the decision was to rule it offside. It's been confirmed that, you know, by many that that's the correct decision, because the forward, who was in an offside position, attempted to hook the ball by raising his right leg with the ball behind him to try and knock it in the air and over his head. And that's why the offside decision by the VAR, Jared Gillett, and the referee was awarded.
Now, okay, so they're saying that the player who was in an offside position was interfering with the play. How does that work then when you've got 7 or 8 players, 4 from each team, for example, in the penalty area, all blocking the keeper's view? How do you decide who's blocking the keeper's view and who's not? And why,
Well,
you know, to me, unless this player, he attempted to, well, he stuck his foot out. And play? I'm just playing devil's advocate now.
Yeah, I know. Well, first of all, I don't think he interfered with play, because what I expect interfering with an opponent, I would expect the ball to be traveling directly in the same direction as the player standing in front of the goalkeeper. So I would expect the ball in this particular instance was going across the penalty area, slightly diagonal. It wasn't going from a forward outside the penalty area, making a shot on goal towards the goalkeeper. It's those situations where I see interference. So if the ball is heading directly for the goalkeeper, this was a ball crossed, not in the direction of the goalkeeper, but in direction of a forward who was onside. And it happened to be at a trajectory at knee-height level where this player is deemed to be active. And therefore, I don't think it was interfering with the opponent. It's about this old question of the law where they brought this bit in about the active aspect of offside. Yeah, it's interfering with the opponent, but it you know, it's made a deliberate play for the ball. And that's where it's deemed to be the correct decision by the match officials. So, hence the debate and discussion on it.
That's another one for debate. I'll play as well, Keith. There's another question for you guys out there. I'd like to hear your answers to that.
I mean,
Keith, West. Have you finished?
Well, I want to say that you know, I think we all agree that the offside law, how it's worded, how it's penned, how it's written, whatever, is not helpful to grassroots referees.
No.
I'll make that particular point. Yeah. It's only where you've got television and the opportunity of VAR that you get into the intricacy of being able to have several looks. And of course, 4.5 minutes says they've had more than several looks. And so it goes back to my view, let's have a time limit on it. Because, you know, 4.5 minutes, you've lost all credibility in that decision. And probably that's why we're all debating it.
Yeah. All right, Keith, West Ham Arsenal game, and in particular the penalty against the goalkeeper Fabianski, I think, where he came out to punch the ball, and the referee decided that he had actually punched the player in the process and gave a penalty and a yellow card. Well, if he punched him, surely that's violent conduct, so it should be red. Or can you water down a red to say, well, it's not quite? It is, to me, it either is or it isn't. So I'm sure you've seen the clip anyway, if not the whole game, where the ball came in and the keeper came out the ball.
Yeah, I think first of all they've not. Football is a contact game, and I have to say, I think the way we refereed and in the era that you and I refereed, play would have continued.
Yeah.
If the goalkeeper thumped the forward, he'd have gone. I think we'd have both done the same thing.
Yeah.
Here was a goalkeeper, in my opinion, and I think yours, making a genuine attempt to play the ball.
100%.
And the ball's gone. He's missed it. And he's not he's making that fist action or flat of the hand action to palm the ball clearly, but makes contact with his opponent. At that point, the referee has judged that he's surely judged that the goalkeeper's actions are reckless. The reason being that his decision was penalty kick and yellow card. So the referee has seen that action on the day from his angle, that was a reckless act, and awarded a penalty kick. I think you and I in our era, right, would have just allowed play to continue.
Absolutely. Even today, Keith, if I was out there, I would. To me, the goalkeeper made a genuine attempt to get the ball. If the player's head came into contact, and the keeper wasn't punching at the player, he was punching at the ball. At the same time, the player was going to head the ball. So that's pure accident as far as I'm concerned. So it should never have been a penalty kick, and it should never have been a yellow card, because he genuinely tried to play the ball.
Yeah, and I think that, so you've got that one, and of course the argument would be that as an opponent, as a player, you have a duty of care towards an opponent.
Yeah.
And therefore, when you're going for that ball with your fist to punch it away, right, are you taking into account your opponent? This is the process, if you like, of a reckless challenge. Because when you actually look at law and you start to examine that one incident, examine the incident of a player who goes in with a slightly raised foot, doesn't make contact with the ball, but makes contact with his opponent, right? He has probably made a genuine attempt to play the ball, but he's got his opponent, so he's deemed to be reckless. And this is where you get the debate in terms of the law interpretation. Look, we've got a few referees out there, and we've already posed the question. And from my point of view, I think that what we should say is, what is your view out there? Have a look at the incident, and in discussing it and debating it, and we may have to come back to it next week.
Yeah, we will do.
It is those type of incidents where I used to stand in front of the referees, play the video clips, and have a good debate. Mm-hmm. And what's
the goalkeeper going to do, Keith? Is he not? If the ball is coming in, then is he not allowed to go for it or punch it, because he might endanger another player who's going to head a goal past him? I know what his manager will say to him.
Well, look, the goalkeeper's got
take the ball and take anybody with you.
Well, the goalkeeper plays with his hands, and players play with their feet as he does. The reality is, if he endangers the safety of an opponent, then he's committed a red card offence. But he didn't on this occasion. That was the judgment. So these, I think, are the areas where You have the debate, you form an opinion, and then you set that as your benchmark up here going forward as a referee. And I think it'd be good for referees, rather than us sort of lecturing and giving or discussing and giving them the answer to everything. I think this week what we're trying to do is say, look at these incidents in a way that you can learn from them and discuss them if need be. Pick the phone up and to your mate and say, have you seen this? Do you think the referee's right or wrong? I have to say, this week has been a very good week for refereeing. I thought Peter Banks in the Wolves-Bournemouth game had a good game. Darren England was far less of a problem at Crystal Palace, and Oliver was quiet. Rob Jones had that incident at Brighton Southampton, but it was offside. I thought John Brooks handled the game, Manchester United and Everton, really well. But for me, the referee of the weekend, and we've been critical of Chris Kavanagh, but here were two teams, Liverpool, Manchester City. This was a big game.
Huge game.
Played at pace, played at speed, and I thought he refereed the game really, really well. And credit to him. So I think Howard Webb, often we're accused of hammering referees on this program or whatever. This weekend, I think some of the referees deserve praise, and young referees watching those performances can learn. The other thing is this. Did you notice that some of the action of the ball placement at the quadrant, they were actually putting the ball inside the quadrant? Are they listening to us?
And Stuart Atwell came across one time to check the Keith, we've run way out of time. Thank you very much again for joining me, and thank you out there for watching. Please send in your questions. We pose lots of questions to you. I'd like to hear your answers. Until next Monday, 8 o'clock, same place, same time. Good night and God bless. Thank you, Keith.
Good night, Errol.